who's not able to make the 5 o'clock meeting, but we'll see him here very shortly. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, a second one by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbons.
Yes. Very good. Let's go ahead and move into public comment. Public comment is for anyone wishing to speak on any item included on the agenda or within the subject matter jurisdiction. I see a lot of staff. I don't see any public comment. This public comment time is open and public comment time is closed. Very good. With that, we have one item tonight is our management report for the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget workshop number 2, the annual draft budget department presentations. Sir?
So, Mayor and Council, I'm pleased to, this evening, the executive management team comprised of all the department directors will be making a presentation of each of their individual departments, covering goals, achievements, and their proposed operating and maintenance budgets. And then they'll be covering also any additional needs requests, just to highlight some of those. And then this is an interactive process. We've done this process before. So as you have questions of each department, in case you do, please let us know. The operating budget is based on consistent with the strategic goals of the city council. We had our strategic workshop last month. From that, we formulated the budget. Basically, the service levels remain the same. In other words, we're keep maintaining the status quo of service levels. Although certain costs in the budget have increased related to vendor costs, fuel, energy, payroll costs. Aside from that, the remaining operating budget remains the same. In other words, we're not reducing services. We're maintaining the current service levels, with the exception of the proposed substation at Gossamer Grove, that we incorporate additional personnel for that, as well as O&M costs related to keeping the lights on at the new substation. We also anticipate the aquatic center being operational in 2025, so that is factored into the budget. The mobile library as well, and with the exception of those key initiatives, other than that, the service levels of the operating budget remain the same as prior years, with the exceptions I said for those costs that we have absolutely no control whatsoever related to fuel, energy, utilities, and that sort of thing. So with that, I'll have our Public Works Department Director, James, lead us off, and then each department director will follow after that. So that, Mike.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, I'm Michael James, Director of Public Works. I'm here to cover the budget that's been developed for the department to maintain existing service levels going into next fiscal year. I'm also going to highlight some planned organizational changes that will likely start next fiscal year, but won't go into full effect until the next budget cycle. Before we look forward, I'd like to take a look back at some of the accomplishments for the fiscal year that's wrapping up, starting with street improvements. Specifically, $3 million, mostly federal money, was used to reconstruct a portion of Laredo Highway in the core city. We also reconstructed the slow lane of 7th Standard Road between Gossamer Grove and the wonderful industrial park. And we also added paved shoulders to Santa Fe Way. Additionally, $1 million in ARPA funds was enabled the completion of recreation improvements in the core city, notably field improvements and a new irrigation system at Kirschman Park, a new basketball court at Veterans Park, and then a new shade structure at Mantle Park. Additional projects led by Public Works include City Hall updates, namely a new roof and new reception areas. And then we also added decorative street lighting along the downtown corridor of James Street. Looking ahead to next fiscal year, the department is focused on several goals. Starting with supporting the council's strategic plan initiatives. As you would imagine, Public Works plays a pretty critical role in infrastructure, but we also play a role in other initiatives such as economic development. The department's specific short-term goals within the strategic plan are enhancing the park reservation system, updating the bidding and procurement policies, and then adopting new development impact fees and user and utility service rates to make sure that infrastructure is properly funded. And as covered in the CIP budget presentation previously, This coming fiscal year will be instrumental when it comes to parks and public facilities. We plan to add a community park in North Shafter. We're going to complete the remaining Clean California projects that are active right now, specifically Stringham Park and the equipment upgrades at the skate park. There will be additional upgrades at the Vets Hall, highlighted by new doors that will enhance security and improve access. And then there are two separate projects that will enable us to reopen the aquatic center, as the city manager pointed out previously. The pool restoration project that's active right now will be completed this summer, and the construction of a new main building is expected to be completed next spring. With street projects, we're going to continue pavement reconstruction and resurfacing of our major thoroughfares, Santa Fe Way and Zucker Road included. We're going to do an annual residential street project. And then we have the very strong likelihood of receiving over $2 million to invest in bike and pedestrian improvements within the core city this fiscal year. And then one development or one goal that I'm particularly excited about is the development and deployment of a pavement management system that'll use modern technology to document the pavement conditions of all of our city streets. That'll enable us to prioritize future street improvements and gauge the effectiveness of our maintenance programs. Finally, for the water system, the plan is to complete the installation of water meters to comply with the state mandate, and then further the development of new groundwater wells to meet the water needs of our growing city. Looking ahead to next fiscal year, Public Works is going to be responsible for an operating budget of approximately $15 million. This particular slide focuses on the operating divisions within the general fund. The next fiscal year is covered in the blue bar. So while the engineering division is going to see a slight decrease in costs, mostly because we anticipate using fewer consultants because now we have a fully staffed engineering division. Whereas the streets and public facilities, basically parks divisions, are seeing significant increases. And the factors that come into play here are more facilities to maintain, expanded service areas, but in particular, increased labor costs. Fortunately, the general fund is in a position to cover these projected cost increase. The balance of our operating divisions, proprietary funds, enterprise funds, or just basically non-general fund operations, are also affected by the same factors that increase costs. But however, unlike streets and other general fund operations, these particular divisions are self-funded by user fees and rates. So as the finance director pointed out at a past presentation, water and wastewater utility rates in particular are not covering the current costs. In fact, this fiscal year, we will have to dip into reserves to cover our costs. Staff identified this problem last year and initiated a rate study, and we plan to have the recommended multi-year rate plan for your consideration in the coming weeks. Now, Public Works isn't proposing additional needs at this point, but nonetheless, well, that's mainly because our immediate staffing needs have been met, and the equipment we'd like to purchase has funding sources. But we'd still like to highlight one piece of equipment that we plan to deploy as early as this summer, which is a cushion truck, which is basically a utility truck equipped with a crash cushion in the back that will direct vehicles that stray from the cones away from the work zone, protecting city crews. This will become useful on roadways that see high speed, such as Lerdo, or even rural roads that see a pretty decent amount of traffic. So it's important to point out that the city has been allocated funds for traffic safety programs to cover this purchase. Finally, our future operational capacity items focus on continued succession planning. Looming is the retirement of the assistant director approximately 1 year from now. Upon that retirement, daily oversight of the divisions under the assistant director will be shifted over to the existing deputy director that oversees operations. So to assist with this transition, there are development plans underway to have existing crew members reclassified as supervisors of each division. So plans are currently underway to reclassify crew members in the water, wastewater, and streets division, whereas the fleet and parks divisions will be revisited next budget cycle. And with that, that concludes the presentation for Public Works.
25-26 budget cycle?
Correct.
Quick question, on the proprietary funds for water, it's 4 million as actual, is that a 9-month total as of now, or is that a projected actual? I mean, I know it's not the case. Are we still projecting at 4.6 for this fiscal year?
Correct.
Okay. So it's a $300,000 difference then between year to year. That's the reason for the rate study. We're talking 300,000, not 900,000. I just want to be clear.
Well, I don't know the exact figure, but I think the shortfall is going to be significant. We'll share that with the presentation that covers the recommended rate plan, but the projection is probably a little more severe than that.
All based on labor, or is it based on?
PG&E,
Hmm.
labor, and the allocation of internal costs that I believe the finance director covered in a previous presentation with the lack of the CCF, MCCF, that the other divisions are absorbing those internal costs, that it's significantly affecting the bottom line for the water and wastewater division.
For the PG&E, even though we have the solar, I'm assuming they modified us with the tier 3 changes as well, yes?
Depends on the site,
Okay,
but the challenge with solar is, yes, they're actually performing pretty well. We audit them on an annual basis to make sure they're producing. And they provide rate stability, but PG&E is actually increased. We can't completely do away with PG&E. We need PG&E for at every site, basically, still. And PG&E is raising their fixed costs, and kind of the economic benefits of solar shrink when PG&E is raising their fixed costs, is basically what's happening.
because we're not battery powered. We're back into the, I can't even think of the word. Supplying back to the grid, correct?
We're pretty much using all the power on site, and it depends on the site. I'll
Okay.
definitely stress that. I mean, but that we were on the previous NEM cycle that enables that, but it just depends on the site.
Just had a question, not as complicated.
Well, I'm just kind of curious,
Yeah,
that's
no,
a
it's
big
good,
number.
It's a good question, but mine is very, very shallow. Flags at the,
Sorry.
sorry, the flags at the Veterans Park. The flags at the Veterans Park.
Correct.
Who manages the flags, like the military flags?
The original arrangement was to have AM Vets responsible for at least replacing it. I mean, their park operations budget could certainly fund it, but it was just basically part of that partnership to have the AM Vets group take the lead on it. But I'm not sure if they have the membership to sustain that part of it, but if there's something that's lacking, we could certainly look into it.
It was brought to my attention that there's some flags missing. I think they have Marine, but they don't have the other military branches there there. I don't know if they take them down and put them up. I don't know the schedule, but
Well, even though it's a city park, we want the vets organizations to have assume they have ownership of that site. And if there's anything that could be enhanced, certainly we're all ears.
okay. So can you pass this on to whoever's in charge of that?
Correct.
With the flags, either take them down or take them up or get them all complete?
Be happy to.
Thank you.
I get one more question. You have 2 items on here for equipment, but you're only wanting the one? On or at least the one,
Oh, I want to apologize. The presentation's gone through a couple of iterations.
okay,
You're referring to the
the bucket truck.
bucket truck. That's a replacement item, and that'll be funded through our normal replacement funding.
I was
I
gonna,
just wanted to, earlier with the presentation, I wanted to brag on it because it was going to provide a greater reach and greater versatility than the current bucket truck we have.
gotcha.
That's cost savings already.
Oh, so don't use the one,
There's already cost savings,
that's frustrating to me, right?
Chad. There's already cost savings. You got to get the bucket.
For clarity's sake, So we're using the one that's now printed on the dais and not the one agenda that's online. Okay.
How many more changes are there then?
There potentially could be more based on, this is draft, this is not final, so at the end,
That's not the question. The question is, are we following what was sent out before? Or are we following what's this new just put up?
Following this.
that's
new
what was
one.
clarified right now, that
Yes.
was what was on the dais is what we're following right now.
Continue, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council. Randy Milligan, your acting police chief. It's my pleasure to provide you with an overview of our draft budget for animal control and the police department, as well as our accomplishments, goals, and additional needs. Accomplishments, expansion of existing patrol presence in Southeast as we continue to work on our operations plan to staff the future substation. The police department was involved in 18,633 incidents citywide with a 33% officer-initiated activities. Mid-year implementation of flock license plate readers. Currently, that is in the installation phase, installing 25 cameras. We implemented the electronic criminal case management system, Carpel, which is relieving the dispatchers from excessive paperwork to prepare court packets. For animal control, we're contracting with new veterinarian of record, which gives access to medical services and medications that are needed. Obtained required veterinarian premise and shelter DEA permits. Expanded food drive giveaway to unincorporated chapter residents. Partnered with Kern County Animal Services for low-cost spade and neuter clinics. And reestablished community classroom with Kern High School District, Regional Occupation Services, and we currently have 3 students in that program. Goals for the police department, to staff the Southeast substation as in our per operations plan to get that filled, once the station is opened. Implement and build a cadet program. We're hoping to build a cadet program of 10 to 15 to support the PD with quality candidates for law enforcement positions. Implement new call processing equipment in the communication center. And we're hoping to establish a drone program. For the animal control, excuse me, resume operations and field services 7 days a week so we can resume weekend operations. Security camera upgrades for the exterior of the shelter. Expand vaccination clinics for the public. Exterior lighting upgrade for added security and camera functionality. In addition of High Desert Medical College approved externship site.
What is that?
It's similar to the high school program, but it's college-based to give them training and experience in the facility. It's something that's been in the works for a little while. Okay, looking ahead at maintenance and operation costs, we are projected to be under for 23-24 and under for 24-25. This is due to the facility maintenance realignment to public works. For the animal control, once again, they are projected to be under for 23-24 budget. And 24 and 25 is also going to be lowered as the facility maintenance realignment. For additional needs requests for the police department, we're asking for $46,000 to replace 10 handheld radios that are no longer supported that can be repaired. Replacement of 10 mobile data computers for patrol vehicles at $50,000. The addition of 6 patrol vehicles at $492,000, which this will come out of the development impact fee. And the replacement of 2 patrol vehicles due to high mileage and maintenance cost. We also need to replace the communication center radio console. The current Scout system is no longer supported and can no longer be repaired if it's no longer functional. At $135,000.
That's for all units.
That is for the dispatch center. It's been over 20 years since that's been replaced. And we're looking to replace and upgrade the current duty weapons at $39,000. For ongoing cost, we're asking for $15,000 to build and start up a cadet program. And we're asking for the addition of 2 officers and 1 sergeant and half-year comps at $246,000 121 to support the operations for the new substation once open. That's all I have for my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
That's substation only for those additional officers.
Yes, that's the game plan for the operation plan.
So for the sergeant, for the half-year comp, I presume the other half is for here.
The
What do
other
you-
half would be for the next fiscal year.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions, just, back to the reestablishment of community classrooms with Kern High School District. What was that about, or
So,
I'm not familiar with that, that's why I'm.
so during COVID, the program was shut down. We had students coming in from that current high school district that were being trained on how to care for the animals and animal control services. It was shut down during COVID, and just recently it was reestablished.
Okay, and the students could have, I guess, go through the high school to get involved in this, or is it through the high school? Or is
Through
it-
the high school, yes.
Okay, and then the college is something similar to it, but a higher level of education, like in college, community college?
Absolutely correct. It's just a college-based program with the same mindset.
And they both earn the same opportunities, or is there like a, is there do they earn a certificate or something, or no? Just experience?
Just this experience and hours of training.
Oh, okay, okay. Cause I just have students that are interested in being like a vet. And I don't, this is a good way, I could direct them to the high school, get into this program. They could explore that instead of going to COM. They're going to all the way to COM to just get some of that on-hand experience. So,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, I know you're probably thinking I'm picking on you. I promise you I'm not. He made a comment that is intriguing me and I didn't hear it on your side. And so now I'm just gonna ask. So the M&O for the police department as well as animal control, you're saying that your budget is decreasing because his budget is increasing to cover it for you?
From my understanding, the facility maintenance has moved over to the public works side, so that's why our budget is going to be lower for the 24-25.
Thus, the reason public facilities on your side is increased. I'm just asking because I don't, that was an odd comment, so I'm just trying to figure it out.
So, Mr. Mayor, in addition to the regular cost increases, there's a strange phenomenon here where the MCCF used to have the indirect cost of administration be allocated. The vast majority of those costs were being allocated to the CCF. Now CCF is closed, so we have to grab those costs and reallocate them into the smaller funds, which is on the enterprise funds, water, wastewater, refuse, and those areas. So that has significant increases because of the CCF closure.
Except for his department who got a decrease.
Right, but this is general fund. And his is more because of we're centralizing the facilities maintenance, the cleaning, the lawn service, all that, we're centralizing those so that we can monitor the cost and we can question the vendors on the cost increase.
Just an additional comment, Mayor and Council. Some years back, under previous finance director, they allocated the landscape facilities, for example, as a direct charge to each department. What we're bringing it back to is treating it as an internal fund, much like we do with IT, fleet maintenance. Those are internal service funds. So the facility maintenance is now being treated as an internal service fund. And then that cost allocation on the back end gets redistributed to the departments, but it's not a direct charge to each department. It's being treated as an internal service fund.
So we'll see that, I guess it's gonna lead to a lot more questions here. So we're gonna see the facilities modifications here across the board, whether that's up or down, it's just simply because of that fact. And I understand that, right? We're shifting how that money is shown, it's still the same money. The labor aspect, the administrative component to it is kind of intriguing to me, not in a good way. Because MCCF has been closed for how many years now?
Four.
Okay, 3, 4? So that's a new comment that I get to hear, and now I'm kind of questioning why we didn't hear it last year. I can understand maybe the year before that. I can give some grace there, but I'm just kind of curious why it's coming up now.
Yeah, this is this is an allocation, and I apologize, I don't recall if we mentioned that, but this has been part of throughout the last couple of years, the reallocation of the overhead cost, administrative cost into the enterprise funds, which is a normal practice. Now, it's not 100% what it used to be going to the CCF because it took over $4 million of administrative cost, whereas this is lower, but it still is in excess of $600,000 increase of overhead cost that is being allocated from the administrative, which includes city managers, finance, HR, all of those internal administrative costs into.
Because
into the enterprise
theoretically,
funds.
it wasn't 100% cost. It was a 40% or a 60%. In each department
Yes.
was slightly different. I understand that.
Yes, now, the city council has the authority to provide direction as to decrease, if needed, those administrative costs into the enterprise funds if you wanted to. But
Understand.
that's that could be for further discussion on like, Public Works Director mentioned, we're gonna have a meeting on the rate study.
Correct. Thank you.
Mayor and Councilors, follow-up, Mayor, to your questions, we can provide a breakdown of those shifting of monies, so you can have that information as well.
Thank you.
I had a question, Randy.
Sir.
The drone program, is that something that would be started up from the ground level? We don't have anything like that right now.
Correct. So the first stage would be to purchase a drone. We're hoping to purchase one drone with ARPA money. And then we'll start our program by developing policy, community outreach, and then sending officers to training to get that going.
Okay, and then so, you don't have any numbers on what you think that would entail? I mean, as cost wise or anything like that, to get a program like that started?
I have an estimate amount of $10,000 per drone. We're hoping to get two down the road to start off with one. And the training is quite expensive to train two officers. It's roughly $2,000 per officer for training.
Okay, and then, I like the idea. Can you explain how that would be beneficial to the police department?
Absolutely. So the drone is, can be used in a lot of different ways. We currently use the Public Works drone for reconstruction of accident investigations, for mapping measurements. We can use it for search and rescue techniques, officer safety for search warrants, to where we can have a drone fly over to see any potential danger before officers enter.
Okay, thank you.
As well as fireworks season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surveillance too.
okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm Dennis Fiddler, your building official, and I'll be presenting the building department budget for building and code enforcement. This past year, it's been an extremely busy year, and once again, we've had a successful and large number of residential construction. We've had large amounts of commercial industrial work, and we've also had projects of very high complexity work. So moving into some of the highlights, the higher profile projects that we did this year. The first one is 1 million square foot that's nearly finalized, and they signed a LOI, a letter of intent, with a large Fortune 500 company. So currently, in addition to the completion of the million, they are doing some tenant improvements, and other larger type of tenant improvements are in the design phase right now. So we'll see them in the upcoming months. Another improvement for us, or accomplishment for us, is we have a second 1 million square foot that's still underway this year. They have recently submitted for tenant improvements on the second 1 million. They haven't divulged if we have a tenant, but they did divulge once we do sign a lease on this building. This one's owned by Wonderful. They will start another 1 million. So we'll have another one in the works. Moving into some of the residential construction, over the past year, we permitted and finalized 268 homes this past year. Most of them were at Gossamer Grove, but we did see a large uptick in the historical core area. We saw more work off of Fresno Avenue and Willow Estates. We saw more work off of West Tulare and Santorini. And then shortly, we'll see the completion of the 28 self-help homes. They started, they're under construction, but all 28 will be completed this year. So it'd be nice to see that. And then, believe it or not, upcoming ball fans homes off of Los Angeles and Central Valley Highway, they did permit this week their first 11 homes, and we're working on their model. So they are, I think this month we'll see some work, and then in May we should see sticks in the air. So
Very nice.
it'll be good to see that. Also, we're going to see housing construction this year in Maricona Preserve, it sounds like. And then, so that's west of Gossamer. And then west of Maricona, they're going to start land development potentially in Mission Lakes this year. In addition to the 2 million square foot buildings and the residential updates, some of the other accomplishments are we permitted improvements for LGV coupling. They're located adjacent to the Ford Theater at 112 South Beach. They include a 6,000 and 10,000 square foot manufacturing building. It's a small kind of mom and pop type of organization, but they are moving from Southern California to do their manufacturing fabrication here in Shafter. So kind of a nice project for us. Oops. Our next project is, I like this one a lot. We permitted improvements for Golden Bear Industries. So they're located in an existing building. It's at 3601 Finucane Way, the previous Ascendant building. They will be recycling, manufacturing recycled crinkled paper products. So it's kind of cool. It's eco-friendly. So what's happening when we get a box from Amazon or Best Buy or something, it comes with some type of styrofoam, plastic, bubble wrap, peanuts. That stuff isn't typically recyclable. So this will, and not only is it a recyclable product, it will kind of, I think over the next decade, this will take the place of all that. And it's coming from Cal Paper, our Shafter facility. So, and it's all recycled products to start with. So they do have a contract right now with Amazon, and they have a large contract with Best Buy.
Crinkles of paper.
Crinkled paper. So they take the
Okay.
large rolls of paper, they turn it into smaller rolls, and they crinkle it up, and it's in your new packages that is already starting to happen. So
So is it
Interesting.
correct that Cal Paper is doing it?
yes, Cal Paper is, Golden Bear is an offspring of Cal Paper. So,
Subsidiary.
yeah. We do have an approved project for a 416,000 square foot warehouse located at 3601 Enterprise. It's been reviewed and approved. It's pending a tenant lease and permit payment. So hopefully we'll see that this year. We finalized significant improvements at the Skyway Apartments, the 24 units there, off of Walker State and Pacific. And then lastly, after a couple years, we completed the extremely complex project of Amazon. So it was a lot of work for us. It was a very, very, very complex project, but they're now fully completed and up and running. So as for upcoming goals, the first one, which I think I'm glad to see, and I'm sure you guys are, is the implementation of the land management system. So this evening at 6, we'll have that in front of us to see the approval of the company we've chosen. As well, we have development of code enforcement officer safety standards per Senate Bill 296. And then we also have development for policies and procedures for code enforcement housing inspections per Assembly Bill 548. As for our budget, we are maintaining current service levels. Our projected budget this year for building was 218. We're looking to finish it proposed at 222. We do have a slight increase for our projected for next year, and mainly because we put the majority of the land management system in there. So that's the big part. And there's another $8,000 of additional training that goes into there that makes up the difference of the 218 to 271. And same thing for code enforcement, maintaining service, current service levels. Our projected was 35. We only spent 19. That's due to, we have 15,000 in professional services that we are proposing to move to contract services. That's more appropriate. And it's only used if we can't, obtain voluntary compliance through public outreach. So if the city had to go and do code cleanup or something on ourselves, we keep $15,000 in the budget for that. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You would be excited if we don't ask questions, huh?
Yeah.
I know, I feel like the next staff member was like, please, please, please.
Well, on a positive note, and Dennis, I want to say thank you very much for your help. there were some concerns that we were having earlier in the year. And you yourself went out and took care of, made sure everything was taken care of. And I appreciate that. And thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have a question, Dennis. You say you're maintaining, current levels and all that. How are you with your personnel? I mean, are you at acceptable levels or are you still looking for people?
No, we're at a good point right now. So
So
I
you're-
think going into LMS, we're gonna move Angel into, he's still the permit tech, but he's gonna be our head on the LMS system. So we feel really good right now with the work we have in front of us. So
Okay, okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
LMS is, it's such a incredible tool. I'm
It
very,
is.
very, yes, I read the report. I'm very excited about the LMS concept. It helps a lot when you start talking about backlogs and in really organization as a whole. So, very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. You have to help me out. No, you got nothing?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Nando Guerra, and as the new Director of Economic Development, it is my pleasure to present the Economic Development Department's accomplishments from this past fiscal year, and most importantly, our goals for the next fiscal year. Let's begin with the accomplishments. A new Economic Development Department was created with the hirings of myself and our analyst Gio. We recently revised the existing city market guide and created brand new site guides in order to have the necessary marketing materials to properly market our city. We attended the ICSC San Diego conference and most recently the Monterey conference just 3 weeks ago, which was very fruitful. We continue to maintain Shafter visibility, advance the entitlement process, and to make new business connections. Now let's focus on our strategic goals for the upcoming fiscal year. We are creating an economic development strategic plan and a longer-term economic development component for the general plan update. We are creating a rail strategy with our consultants. We have begun to design and structure a new economic development website as we are assessing best practices from other city websites. We continue to focus on business development. We are identifying our target growth industries. In addition, since I am an economist with nearly 25 years experience, I would like to create an economic development, economic and business outlook for our internal staff, for the city council and our local businesses and residents. And we are also hoping to partner with the current EDC and Cal State Bakersfield to create a new economic and business outlook event similar to the annual May Economic Summit that we could potentially host right here in Shafter in order to give us additional exposure. We are creating a retail strategy utilizing our Placer AI software. And in addition, two of our top priorities are attracting 5 national brands and revitalizing the downtown core. We will work and have begun this process with all of our local businesses to make them aware of all federal, state, and local resources in order to help them stay in business and expand the critical retention and expansion component of economic development. We will continue to try and create as many shovel-ready properties and continue to perform in-depth void, gap, and feasibility analyses on all available sites. And finally, we will expand existing workforce development partnerships and work towards creating new ones with all local community colleges, Cal State Bakersfield, Wonderful, West Tech, C-Tech, and all other resources. Next, let me briefly touch upon and compare the 23-24 budget to our proposed 24-25 budget. The decline of nearly 145,000 is mainly due to the end of the following expenditures: the branding project, legal services, some assessment fees, and recruitment. It will, of course, still include software subscriptions, consultants, other subscriptions and dues, and training and travel. And finally, here are some areas where there might be some potential future budget needs. With respect to the consulting, I hope that myself and the fact that we have Gio, we will be able to do more internal analysis and rely less on consultants going forward. That's one of my big goals as well. Thank you very much for your attention, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Council, questions? Taking that as a no? Two of you skated off really nicely, man.
Yes, thank you.
Let's roll the dice, Steve. Let's roll the dice.
Come on, let's make it three. Honorable Mayor and Council, my name's Steve Esselman. I am the Planning Director, and I'm here to talk about the accomplishments, the goals, and the budget for this year for the Planning Department. So we'll start with the accomplishments. The really big one was the general plan amendment to rescind the previous housing element and to impart the newest housing, latest housing element as our housing element that's going forward for the next 8 years. There were also some final maps process, some big final maps, one in the city core for 6490 phase 1, as well as a track map 7388 phase 2 for the Gossamer Grove area. We also approved a specific plan amendment to Marcona Preserve, which is what is now allowing the development of the Marcona Preserve specific plan area. And also we were awarded both a REAP and a LEAP grant in a total of $136,000 to offset the cost of the housing element. So the housing element was actually closer to about $130,000 rather than $260,000. The big goals, as you're well aware, we just signed the professional services contract with PlaceWorks for the general plan update. So a big part, the goals this year is to begin the development of that update as well as the programmatic environmental impact report that is related to the general plan update. The general plan update will include 3 very important elements: the EJ or environmental justice element, the safety element, and the transportation element. To be in compliance with state law regarding those elements, the new general plan will effectuate those. I also want to effectuate the year 1 policies for the approved housing element update. There are certain deadlines that are involved in that, and including some that for year 1, and we'll be working on those. And we'll go ahead and go on to the planning operations budget. As you can see, there's a pretty significant spike this year, but that is all due to the fact that we have the one-time cost of the year 1 of developing the general plan update. So you'll see a very similar budget next year because it is a two-year project to do the general plan update. And so that is what the big spike is for. And with that, that concludes my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Council questions? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rolling the dice. Made it to 3.
Good evening, Mayor and council members of the Shafter City Council. My name is Carol Chavoya. I'm your HR manager. I will provide you with an overview of the HR department's accomplishments for the current fiscal year, the goals for the upcoming fiscal year, and the maintenance and operations costs. This past year, we worked closely with PD staff to revamp the recruitment and selection process and overcome the challenges of filling the vacancies for police officers. The improvements attracted many qualified candidates, allowing us to fill most of the vacancies. In the previous fiscal year, we averaged 7 vacancies. As of today, we have 5 vacancies to fill, 4 of which were recently authorized by the City Council. And hopefully, we can fill those by the end of the fiscal year. In collaboration with IT staff, we launched the intranet employee portal. This gives employees access to city news, calendars, directories, quick links, workplace documents, benefits, and health and safety information. Our goals for the upcoming fiscal year are to conduct a citywide compensation study to analyze our position in the job market regarding compensation and benefits, and analyze the city's recruitment and retention strategies and collaborate with department heads to make improvements. The HR department's maintenance and operations costs will slightly increase for the upcoming fiscal year. The increase is due to HR covering the cost for the annex building as we have recently relocated to that facility. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
The video was good, by the way. I think it was for dispatch.
Oh, that was Rachel. Oh, which? Yeah, which,
No, I haven't seen yesterday's. I saw the one that was like 2 months ago.
oh, that one's Angelica, yeah.
Yeah,
we did that one.
I'd love when you guys post stuff like that for, especially for job positions. It's just unique. It's different.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any
other
questions? If none, thank you very much.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. I'm David Franz, Community Services Director, and I have the honor of presenting the budget for the Community Services Department. So this is a new department. So it involves the reorganization of some existing city services and some new city services. There are four main components. As the director, I will be overseeing, the first is the Learning Center, which you're familiar with. The second is the library, which includes the main branch, will also include the mobile library as well as the Gossamer branch that's upcoming. And next we have the Aquatic Center's operations, which will include management of pool staff and partnerships with outside organizations. And finally, downtown revitalization, which currently includes the First Friday events. The accomplishments from this past year for the department. First was receiving the Helen Putnam Award for the Shafter Library, which is a testament to the city and the city council's commitment to education, as well as our team's creativity and diligence in building something that was genuinely new. And that was very exciting. Next, we developed a set of self-directed training pathways for our tutors. And this is a way for tutors who are working at different times to pursue training to grow themselves as our employees, but also to prepare themselves for their career as it comes next. And third, the library exceeded its book circulation goal, reaching over 20,000 books circulated in the last 12 months. And this number includes a lot of smaller achievements, from customer service wins to offsite outreach to events and classes drawing people from outside of the library in. And so that's an achievement we're really proud of. Our goals for next year. The first is to implement and complete and implement some building projects. There's a pergola project in the plaza, which will create a shade structure, an office relocation, which will move my office to the Library and Learning Center, and the launch of our outreach vehicle, as well as the satellite library when that is complete. The next goal is to grow library circulation to 25,000 per year. This is an ambitious goal to increase. It's a 25% higher than our current goal for this year, but it's something that we're going to have additional resources to meet. And so with great resources come great responsibility, and I think we can hit that goal. Next is to undertake a study of our downtown and update the downtown sections of our strategic plan, as well as contribute to the upcoming rewrite of the general plan. The next is to staff and open the Aquatic Center, which is, is a valued resource in our community, and looking forward to putting that to work. This is the maintenance and operation budget for the department. In the slide, you'll notice that the service levels are maintained. The spending on service is actually maintained. The decline in terms of city funds, the decline represents the sunset of several significant grants, mainly from the state of California. And we're not budgeting for bringing in new grants, but we do continue to pursue those and hope to receive them, as well as donations from groups like the Friends of the Library. Our future needs to consider is the full year of operation at the Aquatic Center and the full year of operations at of our mobile library in Gossamer Branch. And with that concludes my comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council questions, comments?
I have one. How much are the grants a part of what you do?
How much are they, like what percentage?
Yes.
Well, I think you can see on this. So that decline in operations of about $38,000. That would be the drop from this year to last year. So there was a grant, it was over 2 years of about $50,000 from the state of California.
Mm-hmm.
That funded a number of special events and kind of for one-time projects. It was all one-time projects. Like the book bags, I don't know if you've seen those. Those were
Mhm.
funded by that grant.
Right.
And then in addition to that would be anything that the Friends of the Library fund.
Okay. Okay. So you need to keep hunting for those.
I do keep hunting. yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That
Absolutely.
was my question.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. I am Johnny Rubio, your IT manager. This afternoon, we'll be reviewing the budget for both the IT department as well as telecommunications. To begin, the accomplishments, I wanted to cover and give credit to our help desk. They've been very busy. We're on pace to process over 1,200 service tickets for assistance. And we've completed an ARPA Veterans Park project that includes public safety security cameras around Veterans Park, as well as free Wi-Fi for Shafter residents and visitors. And I'll be bringing back a management report to show you all the details and all the cool stuff that we've laid out there. And I think it's going to be very beneficial, as there's not a whole lot of parks around Kern County that have offered that. So stay tuned. We're ironing out all the configuration, but that's to come. Under the goals,
Your 1,200 service tickets, is that internal or external?
that is internal, and that's not including projects. So that's all across the board from PD, Public Works. City
My
Hall.
mouse doesn't work.
There you go. That's a ticket. Under the goals, we continue to want to expand our digital footprint regarding the public safety security cameras around the city. Develop an IT strategic plan, 5-year plan. Implement innovative technology at our new PD substation that's to come. And acquire an enterprise solution to replace our aging servers that are in desperate need of replacement. Our budget is slightly slimmer for the 24-25 fiscal year, and that is due to some support contracts that we've identified will no longer be able to be applied to our current hardware. Under the additional needs request, we have a few there covered. One is a fiber ring redirection between 2 of our sites, the courtyard and the old MCCF building. Replacing our servers, production servers due to end of life. Working with a consultant to develop a 5-year IT strategic plan and replacing 6 network switches over at the PD data center.
What does that mean? What is a 5-year IT strategic plan for $80,000? What does that mean?
Well, let me break it down. We continue to ask for, in this instance, 515,000 for the 24-25 fiscal year. Having a consultant come in and analyze our current production environment, analyze our systems. They'll be able to tell us whether that's accurate, whether that needs to be less, or whether it needs to be more, whether we're staffed appropriately. Because as you know, we're introducing an LMS system, right? Which is going to increase your digital footprint essentially. However, you're going to be decreasing your paper flow. So this will allow us to take a look at operations and see if we're running efficiently. Any additional questions? Sure.
The security cameras that you're talking about.
Yes.
That we were talking about with the police department, are those different?
2 different systems. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that one's 25 cameras and then.
Your mic, unmute your mic for me.
I'm sorry. I was asking about the flock cameras and then the security cameras that you're talking about. Can you,
Sure.
tell me about the
Yeah,
difference?
I'll give you a breakdown. One is, our system, it's a Bosch-based system and it's a perpetual model. So when we buy the cameras and the licenses, they're ours. There's no revolving costs, which is great. The flock has its own benefits. That's tied into a database that's gathering license plate numbers, right? And it will serve its purpose as a great tool for PD. And there's a connection with several different agencies so they can share and collaborate on trying to find the bad guy from here to Wasco to all these other cities. So each has its own purpose. We've already rolled out several cameras here at City Hall. We're going to be rolling more at PD, and with the hope to even expand more and look at our fiber situation through the city and look at some key points with high activity just for public safety.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep. Going over to the telecommunications department. Our accomplishments, we've completed our first broadband master plan for our fiber network. We've procured a design and engineering consultant for a fiber plan, and you'll see Chris Schultz, our assistant IT manager, will be giving you a management report on that item later tonight. We procured a consultant to develop an RFP to attract a strong ISP for a partnership. And we've negotiated cost savings of $42,000 with our existing ISP VAST networks.
Good.
Under the budget, we are working with a significantly slimmer budget. As you can see from 123 on the 23-24 fiscal year, and then the proposed 24-25 is at 59,000. The reason for that is we've identified some pieces of software that had some hefty price tags that we deemed necessary to spread across different accounts versus keeping it here, the telecommunications. That includes Nearmap and ArcGIS monitoring, which are essential for our GIS operations. Also, the training and travel items have also been pulled and spread across the different accounts. An additional needs request that we have is some fiber utility boxes that are in desperate need of replacement, and that has a price tag of $60,000. If you have any questions regarding this budget, I'd be happy to answer.
I just had a question. How about your department? How are you doing personnel wise? Are you set pretty good? Are you looking for people?
As of right now, we're still training Michael, and he has been doing really well for the police department. I hear nothing but good things. At some point, especially as our ambitions grow on the fiber end, we may be coming forward for a request for assistance, because the ultimate vision and the goal is to cover the city of Shafter with fiber and enhance our infrastructure on that end. But stay tuned.
And then where are we at with that, completing that task of getting the fiber out to the city? Are we quarter of the way, halfway?
Well, I think we can easily compare that almost to the work that it takes to bring a new business to Shafter. As you know, it was an eye opener to go out and see that there's certain steps that the city needed to follow in order to attract some strong business. Same thing on the fiber end. In order to attract a strong ISP, there's some steps that we need to take, and one of them will be presented in the management report tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Roger Sanchez, Finance Director. I'd like to present a few accomplishments. We have replaced a purchasing card system. The old system was antiquated. We've implemented a new online billing and payment service through Invoice Cloud. The city of Shafter was awarded the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the last budget. We have extended the low-income assistance adjustments for utility billing, where we have collected in excess of $140,000. We implemented long-term financial models and we purchased 2 vans for the public transit with the Air District grant. And the goals for next year, we would like to assist in the sales tax dashboard implementation for the strategic plan. We'd like to develop a dashboard for purchasing, update the citywide master fee schedule, update the citywide cost allocation plan, and try to recruit a new auditor. As far as the cost is status quo, it is worth noting that the city collects about $2 million in interest income. We make a lot of effort in the city of, in the Department of Finance where it covers all of our operating expenses. So it's the same as before. On the public transit, it's also maintaining status quo. It is worth noting that this budget does not affect the general fund. This is through grant funding. And with that, if you have any questions.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I'm Yasmina Polaris, City Clerk with the City of Shafter, and tonight I will be presenting the budget for the City Clerk Department. First, we will begin with the goals for the upcoming fiscal year. They are conducting the 2024 general municipal election for 3 seats, and those 3 seats are for Mayor Givens, Councilmember Alvarado, and Councilmember Espinoza. Another goal is to develop a citywide documentation retention program and policy. And the last goal would be to codify Title 16 subdivision manual and Title 17 zoning ordinance as part of the municipal online code. And then we have the budget for the city clerk department is essentially maintaining current service levels, but we are requesting an increase of 10,000 due to the upcoming general election. And that's just so that we have money there to pay the county for the election. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I am available.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Rachel Zermeño, Community Engagement Manager. I'll be presenting on behalf of the City Manager's Department and Community Engagement. So our accomplishments for the year under City Manager, how we conducted 3 City Council and Executive Team strategic goals workshops, all which were very successful in creating our goals and priorities to move forward. We also created a 2024-2027 strategic implementation action plan based on those workshops that were held. We also implemented succession plans for all city departments. We hired an economic development director, Nando Guerra. And we partnered with ED consultant Cosmont for their knowledge and expertise in economic development. Our accomplishments for our community engagement department. We increased the creation of short videos. We kicked off the First Fridays downtown events with 3 successful events. We deployed installation of Code Red notification system, and we are currently recruiting citizen enrollment. We are at 91 residents currently. That's not even 1% of our population, and hope to get out into the community and get resident buy-ins to sign up for the system. But we do plan to start using the system in May of this year. We also initiated the Shafter branding project this past October, and we have a completion date for that project projected for May as well. We hosted and expanded community events such as Selfie Day, Candy in the Courtyard, the Christmas tree lighting, and we hope to continue to expand those events moving forward. Our events with ongoing collaboration efforts continue with working with city departments and outside organizations. And this year we produced the city promo video and community interview videos in partnership with Shafter High. And lastly, we continue to grow our social media followers. Since taking on this new role in 2021, our Facebook followers have increased by 79%. Our Instagram has increased by 165%. And just this year, Instagram has increased by 1,500 followers and 1,000 on Facebook.
This year, 23-24.
20, well,
You talking calendar year?
fiscal year.
Fiscal
this
year.
year.
Okay.
Yes. And the year's not over. For our goals for both departments, we continue to enhance our community engagement and communication strategy. Execution of the strategic plan and implementation action plan. Implementation of the Shafter branding. And continued discussions with High Speed Rail. And as far as our budget for the city manager's department, we remain status quo with a slight decrease of the maintenance operation that's being moved to the maintenance budget under Public Works. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, council, any questions? Hearing none.
Thank you.
Yeah, microphone and go for it.
David, if you mentioned it and I missed it, I apologize. But I was just wondering if you have any news to share with the library van, the book van?
The library van?
Yes.
It's currently at the city yard. It's functional. It's ready to go, except that it's all white. And so we're waiting for the city branding to present a design to you and then to get it wrapped. It's currently naked. That's the problem. And I think it would make a poor first impression naked. So,
Okay. But,
One way to
that-
describe it.
yeah.
That's all due to him.
You can absolutely blame me
Well,
for that. I have no
think
problem with
I
that.
think it
Yeah,
makes sense.
should have it
that
on
we
the
would
road.
Wait, it's worth waiting a little bit because we'll
Yes.
have, we won't have something that looks out of date as soon as it hits the road. So that, I think it's worth the wait. It's going to be great.
Oh, I'm excited and I'm excited for the library and for you and everything. So I just wanted to make sure I'm not falling behind on that.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Just really quick, Councilmember Espinoza, Mayor and Council, we're looking at a July 1 deployment of the mobile van. That's our target date.
Perfect. It'll
Yeah.
be here before you know it.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, if no other questions, with that said, that is the only item for our management report. It's just a feedback, so there's no vote necessary. I know we've lingered into our other meetings, so if nothing else, council, no other questions, nothing else from
Nothing
staff.
else, Mayor.
I'm going to look to have a motion to adjourn this meeting and get ready for our next one.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Mayor Pro Tem Prout. All those in favor with aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Hearing none, we are adjourned.